What's going on? What's going on?
Entertain the Geeky.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, so
Hello out there.
we're doing this again.
It is Jason and Chris.
Hi, Internet. The Entertain the Geeky guys here. We were going to talk to you about some things.
Yes, quite.
So you went to a comedy show last night.
I did. We went to see Adam Conover at Helium, and it was good. It was a good show. He's somebody I've followed for a long time. He was a writer and actor on College Humor in its early inception, and he turned that into television shows. Adam Ruins Everything is a show, and yeah, it was so. He's a guy that I enjoy. He was also, we'll talk about this in a bit, but he was also a voice I was following during the writer's strike, right? He was kind of out front and center, really talking it up. And, but no, yeah, it was a good show. It's different seeing him do stand-up. So if you know him from, like, the television shows, it's a different style of humor, right? He gets laughs in a different way than he does with those weird, his
bits.
His bits, yeah, absolutely. But no, it was good. We got to have a picture taken with him. We got to meet him. It was cool. It was a fun time.
So yeah, and we can use that as the dive into the writer's strike.
Yeah, so the writer's strike is over. The writers got what they wanted. They got, assurances, protections against, AI and stuff like that. They got residuals for streaming data. Now, whether that means streaming data will be publicly released or it will just be released to the Writers Guild of America, I don't know. But at the very least, they're going to understand how much money they're owed because of streaming retention and repeat viewing and stuff like that. So yeah, they did it, man. They proved that their union is strong, and they held out against the rich corporate overlords like David Zaslav and Kevin Feige and Bob Iger and all of these. Well, Kevin Feige, not really. He's just kind of a showrunner in a movie space, I guess. I don't really know what his official job is.
He's a producer, so
he's a producer. There you go.
He's in there.
It's a producer. But yeah, they did it. They proved that when they're united, when they all stand for a specific ideal and they're owed a specific wage for the work that they do, it works. And I hope the actors get the same. I hope the auto workers get the same. I like the concept of united workers. I think there are problems within how some unions operate, but I'm a pro-union guy. I like unions, right? We have to, because I think in the culture we've started to build, or that we have been building, started to build is the wrong word. We have been building for a long time is just, the people at the top have all the money. And there's plenty of money.
It's a lot of money.
There's a lot of money. We're one of the richest countries in the world, so there's a lot of money.
It's really interesting because when we talk about how much goes into like movie production,
oh my God, I know,
it's fucking
millions
wild.
Of dollars. I mean,
hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions.
For one movie, and it's like they know with most of these movies that they're investing this in. Okay, based on empirical data here, we are going to double, maybe triple this $300 million investment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fucking insane. That's like so much money. It's not even funny. Could you imagine doubling $300 million?
Sure. The benchmark when we were children, when we were young, when we were growing up, was usually $600 million, depending on your budget, right? Now if it doesn't make $1 billion, it's not considered a success.
Isn't that wild?
Isn't
that fucking wild?
It is.
It's weird. I was driving by the movie theater the other day, and I looked at it, and I was just kind of thinking about that, and I'm like, man, movies are only in theaters for a few weeks now before they're released to streaming services.
Yeah.
And like that's such a weird thing because I'm like, how are they making all kinds of money after that? How does the box office continue to grow? Because they stay in theaters, so you can still go watch the movie in theater, but it's not.
Well, but I think it depends on the movie, right? When we look at what's been trending recently, I mean, Tom Cruise's last Mission Impossible Stunt Fest did really well. Barbie obviously did really well. Oppenheimer did really well. Top Gun Maverick did really well. I think people want to go back to the movies, right?
No,
people
do.
like we as society. I think we like the fantasy and the take me away and tell me a different story and show me a different perspective. So I think even once something hits digital, for the average theater going type of audience that will go see a movie more than once in a theater, they're waiting for a home video release. And I know that will eventually be phased out, and digital will just be how we purchase and own, film and entertainment. There's still a good part of the population that when they stop going to see it in theaters, it's because there's a DVD they can buy or a Blu-ray they can buy, right?
Sure. Yeah, no, it's interesting though, because like as I was driving by it, I saw kids hanging out outside, like we used to do when we were kids.
Yeah, for sure.
And I kind of smiled at them because I was like, oh, dude, they're getting the experience right now. Like this is good, and that's important for them to
Absolutely.
It's that little bit of freedom that you get away from mom and dad. You get to hang out in this new place with new people, and you get to experience something completely new. Like you're paying for the experience when you go to the movie theater, and it's not the same at home.
No, it's not. So no matter how big your TV is or how much surround sound you have, it's just not the same.
It's not the same. Being in a room with strangers and engaging in the same purpose. It's like going to a concert almost.
Yeah, I think there's a level of
it's a communal thing.
Public camaraderie that we get into when we laugh and cry.
We do this together.
Feel the same. Yeah, for sure.
So I thought it was really cool to see that, and to see kids getting to go back and do their thing more and more now. It's fucking awesome, man. And it's refreshing.
Yeah.
It's refreshing because that's the sort of thing that, like, over the last few years, I have been really worried about it. I thought
the theater was dead, man.
So
I thought we were done. Yeah, I thought we were just done with movie theaters in this country.
I thought the pandemic was like the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
I remember HBO Max was having, just Max now, but HBO Max at the time was having Mortal Kombat, Godzilla versus King Kong. All of this was going straight to Max, and I was like, dude, if it's like this in the future, this is fucking wild, man. And
I mean, but things change. I mean, we didn't think, the people that were using actual film to film videos never could have envisioned digital film. You know what I mean?
No
they
way.
couldn't have envisioned that. Where I can be looking at how a shot looks the moment after I take it by just taking a flash drive out and putting it in my monitor and being like,
that's the thing. You don't even have to take the flash drive out.
Well,
you
sure,
can do it
whatever.
Straight from the camera now.
Whatever, sure. But I doubt that people who were filming with actual film ever could conceive of a world like that, right? So I think we've seen a lot of those changes. We've seen a lot of those things happen in real time as we've grown up, and this might just be the next one. Now, I don't think it's going to happen soon. I think there are big tentpole, popcorn flick movies that have been coming out that have shown, like, no, people want to go to the movies. These movies are making billions of dollars. People want to go to the movies.
Right.
They missed that, right? That because, like you said, that community, the entertainment, the fantasy,
it is
going into someone else's world for a little while.
Yeah, it's not about going and watching a movie.
Yeah.
That's part of it, but that's not the whole thing.
Yeah.
And like that's what was so refreshing is I'm like, oh, thank God. Like we still want to experience things.
Right.
And that was super cool.
So yeah, I'm glad we're going to continue on now that the writers are back to work and filming and production has resumed on a few things. The actors are still on strike, but I heard it from the man himself at a show last night. One of the Writers Guild of America members said the actors are still on strike, but it's looking like that's going to get done soon. So
cool.
Yeah.
Right on. So we're going to get lots of movies in the near future.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've seen some things shift so that they can keep the schedule, or they could have kept the schedule full. But I wonder if now that once the actors strike is resolved as well, I wonder if that will change. Like, we can actually shift this back a little bit now, closer to its original date, because we're back in production on a thing that was going to come out after it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. That'll be interesting to see how all that plays out.
Maybe not back to its original date, but maybe a little closer to its original date.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
we'll move it instead of having it 4 months from its original date, it's only 2 months from its original date.
Split the difference.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know that. I mean, I'm just speculating based
Wishful
on the
thinking.
industry. Yeah, hopefully, right? Yeah, some movies coming up that I actually do want to see in the Marvel and in the Star Wars world.
Whew. Yeah.
Did you watch Ahsoka?
No, I've been traveling.
Oh,
I've been traveling.
God,
I'm sorry.
man.
I'm sorry.
Could have done it the last night.
I should have, but no,
done it last night.
I was sleeping last night.
Well,
Yeah.
that's important, I guess.
I mean, it's a necessary evil, man. Like, I can't do all the other fun shit while I'm doing that, but if I don't do it, I will surely die. So there's that as well.
Yeah, but there's some movies coming up I want to see, so I'm glad we're getting back to it.
Getting back to production.
I'm happy to see the late night comedic talk show hosts back. I was talking about that with you earlier. I like those guys. I think they're funny guys. I like Colbert and I like Seth Meyers and stuff. I think they're funny guys. I like John Oliver is probably my favorite, and I'm glad to see John Oliver back. I like John Oliver a lot. You're
just a fan of entertainment.
I like comedy.
Yeah.
I am a fan of entertainment for sure, but if I had to pick a genre that was probably the top for me, I like laughing. I like having a good time.
I think everybody does. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's weird. I guess it doesn't flow into the show all that great, but talking about the different medias that we take in, Tara, my wife, was recently watching something about a serial killer right before bedtime.
Yeah, I watch a lot of those murder porn.
I can't fucking do it, man, especially before bedtime. So it fucks my head up. And last night we were...
My head's already fucked up. There ain't much that can fuck it up more.
Fair enough. But we were turning something on to go to sleep to, which I typically like to just turn on a stand-up routine so I can listen to it and fall asleep.
Sure. I watch Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. Something like that. Something that it's just background noise.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, for sure.
And she's like, oh, man, it's a shame you don't like these true crime shows. And I'm like, man, right before I am the most vulnerable that I can be when I'm sleeping and defenseless, the last thing I want to do is hear about how this motherfucker would jump in somebody's window and stab them right after he raped them. Like, not interested.
Yeah.
Good.
It's some people's cup of tea, though, man. That true crime stuff, man.
I do not sleep well on that shit.
Sure.
Nope. No thanks, man. Fuck
Corey likes it.
noise.
My wife likes it. Yeah.
No, I'm out. I'm out. All right. Next order of business.
Yeah, shifting gears. Spider-Man 2 is a week or so away.
It's on the horizon.
It's closer than it was yesterday.
Yes,
October 20th is the date.
Straight to the PS5 it is.
It is, and it's one. I mean, they've done, since the Sony's PlayStation 5's lifespan a few years now, they've done games that are exclusive to it and are developed exclusively for it. But most of the games that have come out on next generation consoles have also had last generation console releases because it was hard to get next generation consoles for a long time for a lot of people during COVID. Now you can walk into a GameStop and buy a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X, no problem. Walk into a Target, you can buy one. You know what I mean? They're readily available now. So this is a big one, man. This is a few years into the console's life, and the original Spider-Man Insomniac game on PlayStation 4 blew us all away. It got remastered when the PlayStation 5 came out for PlayStation 5, and Miles was a launch title for PlayStation 5. Now, it also came out on PS4. But this is a big one, man, and all the early stuff has looked really good. During a football game one night, I think, is where the spot launched. Yeah, I know, right? It's funny to think about how advertising is done. God. Especially since in the streaming era, most of us don't watch advertisements anymore unless we're just, on YouTube or something and we don't pay for YouTube Premium.
Sure.
But yeah, they showed a little spot, a pre-generated cutscene, probably not a game cutscene. It looked a little too high quality.
Sure.
Of Spider-Man and Miles fighting Venom. And it was pretty cool. Like, it was just theatrical and shot like
cool
a movie.
As hell, and you're not mad about seeing it.
Yeah, exactly. And it also is, I would assume, implies at least that there will be a Miles Venom Peter fight in the game, right? Which we're playing as both characters, switching between them as we need to, and fighting Venom. That's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't think the Spider-Man games have been incredible. These last few iterations. I am so stoked for Spider-Man 2. It's not even funny. That being said, damn it, I need it to come out on PC. Like it took forever to get Spider-Man on PC.
This one's going to be a PS5 exclusive for a while.
No, we probably got a year or two.
Sony owns Insomniac.
Yeah. No, we have like a year or two, I think, before.
And Sony owns Spider-Man.
Right. Yeah, before I am able to get my grubby hands on it, it'll be a year or two because I don't play.
Just come over. You play it sometime at my house. Just start a new game.
Play it at your crib.
Chill. Yeah,
that's a good point. We could do that.
I'll smoke weed. You play a game.
I'll frustrate the shit out of you because I don't know how to use a controller anymore.
Oh, no, I don't care. Whatever. You play how you play, bud.
He's like, dude, is this Special Olympics mode that you have on like right now? Like, what are you doing?
No, I'm going to be honest, right? I am probably the one person that is supremely critical, but I can't keep it to myself, right? Like, if I see you playing a game, especially a game that I'm very familiar with,
right?
In my head, sometimes I'm just going to be going, "What are you doing? You're doing that wrong."
You are such a piece of shit, and I don't know why we're friends.
But that's because I am addicted gamer, and certain things develop as you play games. You try out all the different things that the combat system has to offer, but you find something that works for you, and that's just and it works. It works really well. And when you see someone doing it differently, it just, in my brain, it's just like, what are you doing? There's so much. It's such an easier way to win this fight. Like, why are you making it so hard for yourself?
You develop the play style for sure. What's funny,
and I play games multiple times in a row. You know what I
do.
mean? So I develop it to the point where it's a science when I'm in combat and stuff.
My first playthrough with Destiny 1, oh my God. It was so I bought the game after some DLC had been released, so I was just playing through the original storyline, and I'm doing my whole thing, and I'm fighting the big bad at the end of the game, and a fight that should have taken me 7 to 10 minutes probably.
Sure.
It was like a 45-minute long ordeal. I'm running out of ammo and stuff, and you don't get more during this fight. I was like, whoa, dude, I fucked this up bad. I need to be way smarter in the future. But it was, just total lack of experience at that point in time because I don't explore the game the way that you do, where you get into all the nooks and crannies of it and really grind it out.
Well, and that's something I'm excited about this game too, is just exploring it, right? Because Insomniac, look, if I'm being honest with myself as a guy who's played all the weird Spider-Man games that have come out across console generations, Spider-Man 2 from PlayStation 2 was the first time I remember webbing had to stick to something, right? It wasn't just random, this is how Spider-Man moves. No, your web actually had to stick to something in order to progress, right? So when you were down low in the trees, all you had was trees. So you these little short hops, right, with the trees. And Insomniac took that and made it perfect. I mean, when you get into a groove, when you get into a rhythm of swinging around New York in Spider-Man and in Spider-Man Miles Morales, people watching are going to be blown away because once you get it to work and you can work it properly, you're a master. I mean, you're oh, I'm close to the building. Well, I'm just going to run along the side of it, and then I'm going to swing around the corner and keep going down this street. You know what I mean? Like, it's great.
It looks like the scenes from that first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man
movie
like
where
he gets the hang of it.
Yeah, it looks like a movie. And not only are we getting more of that in Spider-Man 2, but they've also added in the addition of the web wings, essentially making him a base jumper, giving him like a base jumper style suit, so you can kind of glide through the city. That's going to change it. That changes everything. Like that little touch, right? That little change, adding in the web wings, doing the base jumping style, changes everything about how we're going to be moving around Manhattan, right? But we've also added Queens, and we've added Coney Island. We've got a bigger map of New York to explore. If the first game is any indication, is going to be very, real style. This is what New York actually looks like, right? There are people I saw, commentating on that game in New York that live in New York, and they're just like, it's right. This is what that corner looks like.
That's my fucking house.
Right. This is what that street corner looks like. So yeah, it's gonna, triple the size of the map, and the size of the map is pretty damn big. Even in Miles, where they kind of shrink it down, and you're really only doing most of your stuff in the north half of the map near Harlem, which is where he lives. It's still pretty big, right? So you get the whole island of Manhattan, so it's still a pretty big map to begin with. But now we're adding Queens and Coney Island, and that's just tripling the size. Both those maps look pretty damn big on the screen. We've seen them showing off the new map areas, and it looks big.
It's freaking sweet, dude.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
They're also instituting a new concept where, a side quest is not something that will always be triggered by like speaking to someone or walking into a marker. The side quests are going to be more organically drawn into the world. So like there's drones that you have to like take down, right? And as you're swinging around through the world, you'll just see the drones flying. It not telling you, it's just like, oh, there's some drone. Do you want to go do that? Because you don't have to, but there they are.
It exists out in space.
Right, there they are. So it's more organic instead of like having to hit a specific marker or talk to an NPC or something. Because you're Spider-Man, right? And your perception of the world is I'm flying through the buildings using my webs, right? And my little wings and stuff. Yeah, using my webs. So yeah. I'm very excited. You're also going to get the Switch, and this may be a spoiler, it may not be. It's been all over the internet, of Harry Osborn being Venom. Interesting. Not something we've seen before, and I'm fine with that. I like the idea of the character can still be what it is, regardless of who the guy inside
Regardless
is.
of host.
Yeah, regardless of who the guy inside is. The character can still be what it is. And the Harry Osborn thing is an interesting thing because it leans more Ultimate Universe, because the Venom symbiote in the Ultimate Universe was something that Peter's father, Richard Parker, and Eddie Brock's father, were developing for Oscorp to cure cancer. Like it would essentially be like a bath you would get in, and it would like get into your cells and cleanse all the cancer away, right? They were trying to cure cancer. And that, of course, led to Venom, right? And so it seems within the scope of these Spider-Man games, Harry Osborn had some kind of debilitating disease that actually took his mother. And Norman was like, this is not going to take my son, right? So he went to great lengths and spent huge amounts of money to find some kind of way to do it. And it looks like alien goop was the thing that ended up helping him. So he's been suspended. He's been in this suspended animation liquid that also has what can only be described as symbiote goo that, when Norman's near the tank in the little post-credit scene of the first game, we see his hand on the tank, and we see the symbiote goo like stretch out to become his hand, and he like takes it away, like, huh. So yeah, like that's an interesting. Not only is that an interesting thing in the story that we haven't really seen before with this kind of thing, but it seems like they're drawing inspiration from what the Ultimate Universe tried to do with the symbiote. Now, because Brock's dad was the scientist developing it, it was Brock, right? It was just like they just found a new way to get Eddie Brock into the story.
That makes sense, yeah.
Him and Peter were childhood friends,
Let's go skip while our daddies make Satan.
So that's kind of like what Spider-Man 2 is doing, but ultimately it rounded out to the same thing where Eddie Brock is the host of Venom. So yeah, I mean, it changed a little bit, but not really anything at all. This one, using a whole new host, makes it inherently a different story that can, like I said, lead to Venom, right? Especially if Peter gets bonded to it first.
Right.
Because we've seen Peter in gameplay trailers fighting with the symbiote suit, right? He's bonded to the symbiote. Which was also probably going to lead to a boss fight where you're playing as Miles fighting Peter, and I'm pretty excited about that.
That'll be a cool one, man. So fucking
especially
cool.
if because excuse me, because Peter is a main character, especially if we would have part of the boss fight be played as Peter.
Oh my god, dude.
Fighting Miles. We have to fight Miles because the symbiote is taking over,
So cool.
Yeah, like that's interesting. And I've seen those things before. In fact, Legacy of Kain did a thing like that, where you fought a boss fight as both characters. In Legacy of Kain Defiance, you fought a couple of boss fights as both characters, Raziel and Kain. And it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm all about that fight right there. I think that'd be super fucking rad.
Yeah.
Super rad.
I'm excited. Yeah, I can't wait, man. This game's going to be great.
All right, are we going to talk about this goddamn Transformers book that you brought over that looks beautiful?
Oh, I can do that. Yeah. It's if you don't know, the license, Hasbro's license of Transformers and G.I. Joe, recently left IDW Publishing, who had it for a long time and used it to great effect and made some pretty great stories out of it. I mean, shit, when Cobra Commander got killed, the whole arc in the Cobra book about who was going to become the next Cobra Commander, I mean, that had me on the edge of my seat the whole time, right? So yeah, they did some great storytelling with it, but they lost it, and it's now at Image. Todd McFarlane picked it up, an Image, and put it under Kirkman's purview, Skybound, yeah. his label within Image. And it all started with a book called Void Rivals, which we've talked about on the show before, I think.
We have.
Right?
We have, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. A little bit.
But the basic premise of that book is it starts out with these two warring aliens in like a space dogfight. And their ships both get like critically injured and they crash. And they realize the only way they're going to get off this planet is to take the leftover pieces of both their ships and fix one. Ship. Yeah, fix one.
They're going to hold hands.
They don't like it. They're not happy about it the whole time. And ultimately it doesn't work. And the one alien just is like, I'm done and I'm going to go away because I'm not going to die next to you. So like just leaves, but then comes running back a few pages later like, oh my God, there's another crashed ship I found and we can get out of here. And they go and they start fixing it up. And when they activate it, it transforms and it's Jetfire from Transformers, who seems confused. He's like, what planet is this? And they're like, and he's like, he says, how long have I been here? And he checks his internal clock and he's like, oh my God, I've been here 100 years. And he just leaves, leaving them stranded on the planet. Their only hope of escaping just leaves them.
What dialogue? Hey, just fuck off. I gotta
go. And we've had a few issues of that, and they've done some weird different things with it. There was even a reference to the Pigman aliens that were in Transformers, the old Transformers cartoon in the 80s. It's weird, right? It's dropping in these little hints.
Little Easter
eggs. At a
eggs.
shared universe for these things. And so the first book in that shared universe came out, and it's Transformers #1 with a beautiful picture of Optimus Prime on the cover.
Gorgeous cover.
Yeah, really, really good cover. Cartoony even.
It is. Like, no, it's totally badass.
It looks very cartoony. It's a good book. Came out last week. It opens with, the human kid that they're introducing you to, who is Spike. It's just Spike. His name is Spike. Because that's the name of the kid from the cartoon.
Human kids are named Spike in Transformers.
Spike. His name is Spike. And he's, got clearly like a tumultuous relationship with his dad, and him and this friend of his, they're going to go up on this mountain and they're going to look at the stars. They got a telescope and they're kind of nerdy. They're going to look at the stars. And when they're up there, they're walking and some of the rock collapses underneath them and suddenly they're in a giant spaceship. Like galaxy class giant, like
right.
They're in a giant spaceship and they come across like what seems to be like a cargo hold, and it's full of dead Autobots and Decepticons just laying in a pile. Yeah. And all of a sudden, Jetfire shows up. Right, because he's now popping into this book from where he left the other book.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So Jetfire pops in and reactivates Starscream. Now, Jetfire, because he had been stranded for 100 years, is unaware that the Autobots and the Decepticons were at war. He was not present for the war on Cybertron.
Okay.
Right? So he reactivates Starscream and is like, oh my God, Starscream, it's so good to see you. It's been so long, right? Starscream's like, oh, Jetfire, thank you so much, right? And he says, I'm glad you picked the right side. And then he executes Bumblebee in his unpowered state. Executes Bumblebee, right? And Jetfire's like, oh my God, what are you doing? And Starscream's like, you see this symbol? We're at war. Like, these are the enemy. Are you on the right side or not, right? So Jetfire tries to stop him. Meanwhile, the power, is slowly kind of activating the other bots in the room. And finally, Optimus is activated and just immediately goes into a fight defending Jetfire from Starscream because he knows what's happening.
Right.
He knows they're at war. Before he was laying here depowered, he was at war with the Decepticons. And ultimately, a battle happens, which is beautifully, beautifully drawn by Mike Spicer, who's doing the art. Beautiful. I mean, the battle is beautiful. I think he's doing the art, actually. I'm going to open the book. I'm going to take it out of the bag of work because I'm not a weirdo like some people. It's fine. It's fine. Books are made to be read, man.
Comic books of all things, yes.
Comic books are made to be read. No, he's just the colorist. Johnson is doing the art as well because, Daniel Warren Johnson is an artist. Yeah, he's doing the art as well. And the art is beautiful, right? It's beautiful. It looks just like the cover. This is the cover. Looks just like the cover inside.
I'm in love. I'm in love with the cover.
I promise, yeah. So, ultimately it winds around to Jetfire, sacrifices himself to make sure the Autobots can get away and stuff. Other Decepticons are awake at this point. Soundwave is awoken and has the little tape deck that the tape comes out and turns into like a wolf. And I was just like, this is great.
This is cool as shit.
This is cartoon Transformers in an adult setting. Right?
How freaking cool.
So the Decepticons retreat. Or no, a chase ensues, right? They transform because that's another thing Jetfire has prepared as he's repowering them is new forms. Because he came to this planet and he kind of looked around, and I guess, and he was like, oh, cars. Yeah, we'll turn into cars. That'll be great. So they all roll out, right? And they take the kids with them, these two kids that were there, because at one point Optimus is trying to reach for a gun and the kids help him. And the little girl is like, how do you know we're on the right side? And he's just like, I don't, but we're going to help this guy.
He's big and red and blue. He must be a good guy.
He also sees them and immediately tries to protect them, right? He doesn't try to harm them in any way. He's like, oh, stand behind me, tiny creatures. He doesn't know what a human is yet at this point.
Get behind me.
Right. These small ones, get behind me. And I don't know. I mean, I'm always going to hear him as Peter Cullen. Peter Cullen. Yeah. I'm never going to not hear him as Peter Cullen.
No, of course
He's
not.
always going to be Peter Cullen in my head. That's how I hear him. That's how he talks. So
for the last 40 years, that's exactly how he's talked.
Yeah. So, they managed to get away. They mourn the loss of Bumblebee. I don't know if we're going to have a Bumblebee in this story.
So Bumblebee is the sacrificial lamb in Transformers, though. And he always has
so. I don't think so anymore, though, because they've made Bumblebee kind of the relatable character to humanity.
But not
the
anymore.
One who befriends humanity.
This is the same one from the cartoon.
I know, I get it. I get it.
Fucking killed off in the movie.
I get it. But yeah, he dies. Well, they killed every Transformer in Transformers the movie. They were trying to start a new Transformers line.
But they really killed Bumblebee. He was one of the first ones to go in there.
I understand. So yeah, I think we're done with Bumblebee. I think Bumblebee's dead. Starfire executed him.
To be fair, he was kind of lame in the cartoon.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I liked all the Transformers. I think they all had something that endeared them to me.
I'm not saying that he wasn't a cool character.
Yeah.
If I had to have a giant fighting robot fighting on my behalf, I didn't want it to be Bumblebee. I wanted Wheeljack or Optimus Prime, maybe an Ultra Magnus, not him.
Yeah.
Or an Ironhide.
Yeah.
That's who you want to fight
Optimus for me.
I mean.
So yeah, then the comic,
Prime.
Yeah. The comic ends with we cut back to the Decepticons, who Starscream appears to be the leader of. Right? They're all in deference to him throughout the dialogue they're having. And at one point, one of them starts to mention Megatron, and he just looks to him like, "Do not say his name." And I was just like, what's happening? What happened to Megatron? Why is Starscream the leader? Why are they all bowing in deference to Starscream? So Starscream has to go out and find a new source of power because this ship they came in, he's like, we can get this ship going again. And it's this big, like I said, Galaxy-class ship that's buried under a mountain, right? Because it crash landed hundreds of years ago.
Right.
And
We found the Energon.
comes across a power plant where Spike's dad works. Right? And again, him and his dad have this kind of tumultuous thing. His dad appears to be an alcoholic 'cause his mom is dead. Well, I don't know.
Jesus.
Yeah. He's a tragic little kid for sure.
This is like brutal Transformers here.
Yeah. So his dad manages, they see Starscream. They're like, oh my God. And they run away, except his coworker gets picked up by Starscream, and he watches as Starscream's like, you must be a native to this planet. You're kind of tiny and squishy, huh? And he just crushes this man to death. And Spike's dad witnesses this, right? So I think in my head of heads, dissecting all the details, I think what they're building is a further division between Spike and his dad, where Spike thinks the robots are good, but his dad saw a robot squish a human to death.
Right. Jesus. How fucking... that's so intense, though.
Yeah. And that's it. That's where the book ends, is watching Spike's dad see his coworker get murdered by Starscream, who is apparently the leader of the Decepticons currently. Yeah. Optimus is still the Prime. He has the spark, right? Jetfire says something about that during the little battle that they're having.
Or the Matrix of Leadership. That's
the Matrix
what it is.
of Leadership. Yeah. He says that. He said, I wasn't aware they gave you the Matrix, Optimus, right? Because the last time Jetfire saw Optimus, they were living on Cybertron.
Right. Everything was hunky-dory.
Yeah. Jetfire got sent out to find a planet that could serve as a base of operations, right? A home, a new home they could go to in the event of the unforeseen. So maybe there was political discourse going on Cybertron, but it hadn't yet become a full-on war.
Dude, if they take Transformers there, holy cow, man.
Right?
Give us a full-blown grown-up book.
Yeah. Maybe the Autobots were taking precautions in case this went into full-blown war, but it hadn't gotten to war yet. So as far as Jetfire is concerned, they weren't having a war.
Right.
That's why when he shows up, he's happy to see Starscream. It's an interesting kind of twist.
Oh.
But I don't think we have Jetfire anymore either. I think Jetfire's done.
He did.
Yeah, I think he did.
Fantastic.
Because in fact, Optimus says I can save him, and Ratchet, one of the other Autobots, says, "Look, the Matrix can do a lot, but it can't stop the inevitable. He's dead. He's gonna die." The Matrix could heal him if he wasn't mortally wounded, but no, he's dying. He's gonna die. You can't fix death.
His spark is going to join the All-Spark now.
Yes. So yeah, it's great. And not only is it great, but it is gonna be called the Energon universe, right? Because comics, everybody keeps saying, well, everybody's just got a shared universe. Comics have always had shared universes, guys. I don't know where that's not a new concept. Which is why this is also going to share a universe it's already sharing a universe with Void Rivals, which is continuing on, but it's also going to share a universe with 2 new G.I. Joe books. One, Duke. Let's see if we can get a good Duke there. It's Duke, because Duke is the star. And then Cobra. And it seems like this Cobra Commander book, it says the rise of Cobra starts. Codename G.I. Joe starts. So it seems like they're building it from
the
scratch,
ground up. Oh, cool.
Right?
Very cool.
This is the rise of Cobra. So Cobra Commander is uniting Cobra throughout the story. Duke is the first codename G.I. Joe. Yeah, it seems like they're starting it from scratch.
Which is cool.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's
Get
gonna be
in on
cool.
the ground level, folks.
Yeah. All the comics are, this one has released. It will be once a month, and Void Rivals is still monthly, and Duke is December 27th, and Cobra Commander is January 16th.
Damn.
So we're going to let the Transformers kind of kick it for a while, building the universe, and then we'll introduce, I'd imagine, G.I. Joe is probably in response to Autobots and Decepticons on Earth, right? a war happening on Earth. Probably seems like a good way to get G.I. Joe into the story, to say, oh, we need an elite military unit to deal with alien robots.
Right. as happened in the Transformers movies.
Yes. So yes, I think that's probably where we're going. But I'm excited to find out, because Transformers #1 is great, and Void Rivals has been really good.
I freaking love it.
And Josh Williamson is going to be writing both of the G.I. Joe books, and I like him a lot.
Thank you, babe.
He's currently writing Superman. He's done a lot of stuff for DC. He's great. Flash.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Can't wait.
On that note, go to your local comic shop.
Yeah.
Get you a couple of books. There's some good places to jump on right now. So you can
this
get
is just
into
the
a new
start.
story
Yeah.
and really see it fleshed out. And see, you can find a first printing online, I'm sure.
Oh, sure you can. But if you don't care about that.
Yeah. But if you need to collect,
Yeah.
you can. Also, go to entertainthegeeky.com. You can follow us on all of our social media there. You can stay up to date on some of the blog posts and all that good jazz. I have been doing a little column called Nerd Rage, where I've been doing a couple of paragraphs bitching about this, that, or the other, as old people do.
Yeah,
Get off
yeah.
my lawn.
We're there now.
Oh, totally there.
We just have to start bitching about young people now.
And that's
It's the rules.
I haven't bitched about anybody young yet, but I have bitched
It's the rules,
about,
man.
I bitched about time.
Sometimes I see teenagers and I'm like, damn teenagers.
You get out of here.
I don't know why. It's just something you just have to do, apparently.
So yeah, like, comment, subscribe.
Please.
As always, stay geeky.